We will now call the Beaufort County Board of Education agenda setting meeting of July 19, 2021 to order. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
And since Mel hasn't joined us, I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, agenda approved. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mel is coming on in a minute, he said.
Perfect. So the media has properly been notified. Do we have a motion to approve the July 6 committee meeting minutes?
I move that we approve the July 6th committee meeting minutes.
And I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, those are approved unanimously. Now we're moving to the August 3rd business meeting, the agenda.
Give me a second. I'm trying to catch up.
All right.
Okay.
And so you can put up the
Yep.
draft. Thank you.
Can you see it?
Yep, sure can. Let me just. All right, so the beginning is all the usual rhetoric.
Yep.
Nothing to discuss there. So our executive session, we may have to alter the time. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items under that, and the wording will be finalized by Wendy Cartledge. So we have Gene Matthew. Have you heard from him, Robin?
Yes, he said he doesn't need any more than 30 minutes, and that includes questions from the
Perfect.
board.
All right. So that's an estimate of 30 minutes. The personnel ratification report and the adult education homeschool report. Dr. R, what about 15 minutes for those two?
Yes. Yes. I think I would be sharing with you 2 principal positions, and just depending on how one of them goes, it could require a vote from the board. So.
Okay. All right. Then we have legal advice. I assume this is from Wendy or another attorney regarding a pending matter and the county lawsuit with the auditor.
Those 2 are Wendy's.
Yeah, Wendy, so
Yes,
what's the time estimate for those 2?
I would say at the most 20 minutes.
Okay.
It's just information. Okay.
Yep. So if we add the 30, 15, and 20 so far, we're to 65 minutes. And then we have the Robert Smalls steel package and Whale Branch Middle phase 2 technology. So it seems like an hour and a half is correct. Would you agree with that, David?
And Mel has joined.
Okay. And all right. So Mel, we're just discussing the executive session items, and we've come to a total of about an hour and a half. I think gives us a good amount of time, and they have to be reworded, some of them. Any comments on that section, Mel?
No.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Public session at 6 with action coming out of executive session if necessary, then our usual agenda, approval, pledge, blah, blah, blah. Points of celebration. What do we have there? Robin, Molly, or Dr. R?
Right now, I don't, Kristen hasn't given me anything, but I don't know
Okay.
if there is or not.
Okay, so we'll have that as a placeholder. There may well be something there.
Mhm.
Then we're to the first public comments. Chairman's report, I'll determine if I'm going to add something there. I don't know right now. Does David or Mel have anything they think we should cover or I should cover?
Can't think of anything.
Yeah, if you do, let me know. Okay. Next is the committee reports. And we'll have academics and ad hoc Bluffton, ad hoc results and technology. We'll have all met by then. So I guess we'll know what will be coming out of the committees.
Yep.
Once they meet. Okay. All right. Any comments for that section?
Dr. Guad, for
Yes.
Operations Committee, there will be a special meeting on July 29th, and the FOIA quarterly report along with the OE will be presented to the board on August 3rd.
Okay, so FOIA, OE, and the report?
At the FOIA and the quarterly report.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So Robin will add that.
Mhm.
Policy report at the last meeting, or
Oh, yes, we did. No, policy
No.
reported at the last meeting.
did? Okay.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Postpone it.
She did.
It was postponed. Right.
Postpone it, yeah.
Thank you. So we're going to add that.
Kathy's hands up.
Go ahead, Kathy. Thank you.
From my two committees,
Mhm.
we could have quite a discussion about the ad hoc results. We are
Okay.
going to present what we are recommending to the board for Dr. Rodriguez, and there may be some discussion about that. And academic, Dr. Stratos is going to be presenting to the academic committee on the 28th, some bones to the plans that have been submitted. So we'll be able to share that with the board, you know, the funding type plans. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. There
Yeah.
may be considerable amount of time in both of those. But we
Kathy.
will be making sure they get put in board docs. Dr. Rodriguez, yeah?
Yeah, Kathy, I was just going to say that in the superintendent's report, that information that's going to be shared at the academic committee is going to be under student achievement in the superintendent's report, and it'll be a highlighted approach from that meeting. So you guys in that meeting may end up with a lot of depth in there. And at the superintendent's report, it's going to be probably a higher level report at that time, but covering that same information.
Great. So then the academic report will just be that things were shared with us, and there's going to be a report later in your report. So that'll
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. And I was thinking also if the ad hoc results, there's a lot of discussion about that, about the instrument, et cetera. We could think about it and then bring the vote back at the next business meeting of August, whatever it is, 13th or 15th or something around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the 17th? The next meeting?
17th. Okay. Yeah. We're at a, yeah.
The
Yeah, it would be the 17th. Thank you. All right. Any further comments on this section, the committee reports? All right, we'll move on. There being none, we'll move on to the superintendent's report. So, Dr. R, can you see the agenda?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead with your superintendent's report comments?
Yep. So in the superintendent's report under student achievement, we're going to it's going to be called Diving into 2021. And then, that'll be, as I mentioned, also covered in the academic committee, but, we're going to present it here. And then under fiscal responsibility, we're going to have, the request from the board was on the ESSER application, I think at the last meeting. So we're going to cover that, in that section.
All right. Any comments on that section?
Well,
Mr. Campbell?
yeah, are you going to say anything about next year's school entry? I mean,
You're talking about like any kind of protocols and things like that?
yes, protocols, adaptability, possible adaptabilities that, what will trigger changes, but what you expecting to be the opening?
Yes,
salvo?
I can do that. We'll list that under other matters, and we'll let's just call it school opening and and then we'll talk about protocols under that. Does that work?
Yeah, that'll work. I just want to make sure
Yep.
everybody, knows what's going to happen as we open. Before
Yeah,
that
Dr.
17th.
R, I sent you a article about that today.
Yeah, I saw that, but
Okay.
here in South Carolina, we've got an executive order.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So
So that will
what
be
we
good.
can do is we can do, well, this isn't appropriate here. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
exactly.
discussing stuff, so sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But that will be good to talk about, what what we have in place in South Carolina, what we have to follow.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so under board business action, we have basically two items, but there's two bonds that we have to determine if, that those were presented already in Finance Committee about refinancing for cost savings. So Brian Nurick of Compass will be here for that part. And then the discussion of the August work session, we have to determine if we need another date for the work session because we already have, I believe it's Friday, August 27th reserved, and August 28th is a Saturday, and a number of us are attending the law conference through the School Boards Association, so that will not be a good second day for the work session. So we just need to determine if a second day is indicated, and that we might determine actually. I have a good idea about that after we set the agenda, which we're going to do in just a minute. So I might suggest switching the order there since the bonds are going to be an outside presenter and do the discussion of August work session as the third item. And I would recommend also that we put Brian Nurick's name and company there so the public knows, we're going to have a speaker there. All right. All right, no hands up. So we'll go on to the consent agenda. We've got meeting minutes to be approved. And then everything else that's after that is our standard usual itemization. So any further comments on our agenda for August 3rd?
Do we have any loose ends that were requested for this meeting?
Oh, yeah, well, actually, we do have, let me just quickly look. You can bring up the future agenda topics. We just talked about the ad hoc results stuff. And the only other topic was one that Tricia just submitted a few minutes ago, asking for an update on the educational real estate consultant. So, Dr. R, that could be something under other matters on this meeting, because I suspect that's going to be a real quick update.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay. So
So
Robin,
we'll have two under other matters. We'll have school openings and we'll have, she's talking about the educational land consultant?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So that will go on this agenda as your second item under
Yep.
Other matters after the school reopening. Okay. I believe that's the only one we really have out there for right now.
So you have your iReady update, operating levy, fiscal autonomy, virtual school for next year. Student
I
testing.
see. I didn't see that there was a back to this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what I missed.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith?
I noticed that you said that there will be, or someone said that there will be a school, an update of opening as in virtual school as well. Is that correct?
We didn't specify which type of school, but yes, that would be included.
Okay. And I just asked because I have gotten a large amount of parents asking me questions about the reopening of school. And what does that look like?
Yep, Dr. R will give an update. So we already have a lot on this agenda. So the other things that would potentially be included are the second page here. Yeah, where you are there. Let's see, David or Mel, committee members, do you have any comments about all these?
I mean, you said the agenda is packed for now. And some of those things have been on before and we've discussed it, so I don't have any comment
Okay.
adding anything else on there. I think a couple of those things will be addressed during the meeting.
Mm-hmm. All right, Kathy?
I thought that we had talked before about putting fiscal autonomy and operating levy on the work session agenda. I know we've talked about fiscal autonomy a couple times. I don't know what the next step is, but
Right.
I thought that we had indicated that would need some discussion, more discussion, and we would go on a work session topic. So I'm just,
Yeah,
at
and
least
I
that
don't
was my
think
recollection.
fiscal autonomy we've already discussed, and I was the one that brought it up again, and it does not need to be on the August 3rd agenda. We got plenty on there already.
So that a suggestion, Kathy?
My suggestion was that it go on a work session.
That's what I asked, was that a suggestion, right?
Yeah, I think so, because I thought, yeah, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Smith, your hand is up. Okay, thank you. All right, so I think we're ready to move on to our work session. And this, we know one date is Friday, the 27th, excuse me. And you have a, yeah, here we go. Okay, so these are what you already had, right?
Yes, those are the things I already had on there.
So,
Some of these are also on the future topics sheet.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So
Well, I definitely think we need Mr. Brian Nurk's debt program presentation. And I believe, Dr. R, didn't you tell me you thought that would take maybe 90 minutes?
I had further conversation. It's just an hour.
Okay. So, that seems like a good thing to start with, especially since it's an outside speaker and it's something that requires, considerable attention from the board members.
Okay,
All
I
right.
agree.
You agree? Okay. David?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So what else do you think? I mean, to me, absolutely the annual work plan is critical. And we've got Dr. R working on that. He showed us as I recall, a page with his dates and whatnot, but that was a couple of months ago, maybe 2 or 3 months ago. So
I have it as a draft. I have it as a draft if you all.
yeah, exactly. A draft. So that's something I definitely think should be on this day.
David's hand and Earl's hands up.
Earl?
Yes, I just want to ask a question about ROTC. Have anyone thought about discussing when Muriel will have an ROTC program?
That is something that, first of all, it's in the works already. So that can be part of this. I think this was a request from Miss Middleton on the sort of a career and technical ed type of overview from the district. And so if we did that, that would be certainly something we would cover. It does take some time to get those programs in place. So the ball has already been put in motion on that. So it's just, it takes time. It takes about a year and a half actually with them. So that ball's already put in motion.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stribinger?
On the annual work plan, most of the OEs have not been approved yet. So would this approval include approving all the OEs that would be in the work plan? Because if that's the case, that's going to be a long topic. If that's not the case, I'm not sure how we could approve the work plan without having approved the measurements.
Well, I'll just respond to that. I was thinking the work plan is when the OEs are going to come forward, and I didn't think it necessarily had to mean that all of them were approved at this point. I was thinking this is the timeline for when Dr. R will bring forward each of them. Because I agree. I mean, I think if we may need to have some special meeting if we're going to try to approve a lot of OEs at once.
Okay, I can go with that. I'm just
Okay.
Yeah, I think the intent, yeah, is just to approve the schedule.
Right.
Okay.
So another topic that seems timely would be the OE 17-9, the district's disaster plan, because that includes hurricane and storms and that those have affected us in the last few years, many in actually early September. So that seems like that would be a good topic to cover.
Yeah.
I just brought up the work plan if you wanted to see what the work plan looked like. If
Yeah,
that
that's exactly
answered
what I
your
remember.
question.
Yeah, I don't remember the details, but exactly. So we need to be.
Would that be?
Yep.
Yeah, that we couldn't agree
On the
earlier
schedule,
that schedule should look like that. So that's coming back.
Mr. Stribinger.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. So next is what else do you guys or anybody, I mean, any of the non-committee members, do you think needs to be covered on August 27, Friday? Right now we have three items. We have the debt program presentation, Compass, the annual work plan draft, Dr. R, the OE 17-9, the district disaster plan. To me, it seems like another good thing would be that Kate overview.
Yeah, I mean,
Or we could talk about the operating levy, or the fiscal autonomy with the next steps.
how long will these, the things you're talking about now, how long will it take?
Well, okay, so the debt, we have 1 hour. The annual work plan, what do you anticipate, Dr. R?
It generated a lot of discussion last time. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm going to go back and review the minutes and the video of that session, but it did generate a lot of discussion. So
It was about a 2-hour conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about if we give it 1 hour?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
anticipate 2 hours this time.
Yeah. And then how about the 17-9, the district disaster plan?
I would say probably like a 30-minute piece and then some questions. So,
45
depends on,
minutes?
yeah.
But
Yeah.
fine.
And what I may try to do is get together with some of the new board members
Uh-huh.
and the two new board members and just try to bring them, talk to them about it so that that might help them at that juncture. So there may not be as many questions.
Mhm. So then, all right, well, if we did something like that, Kate overview, the top item there, and Mr. Earl Campbell asked about one of the items listed there.
All right, Kathy? So it looks like you got 2 hours and 45 minutes already.
Yeah,
That'll drive us to,
close to
Okay.
lunchtime.
11:45.
Yeah. So we could do remember on the agenda, we don't want to specify specific times because then we can't.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to get a gauge.
Yeah, so maybe this should be the first thing after lunch, but we won't put it that way.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Kate. And what do you
Mr.
think that would be, an hour?
Yes, I do. Mr. Campbell, when you mentioned 2 hours and 45 minutes, you were referencing the debt program, the disaster plan, and the annual work plan?
Correct.
Okay. And then this would be so probably another hour, and this one would be after lunch. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Got it. I'm with you.
So, I don't know, to me, it seemed like it would be helpful to also operating levy and fiscal autonomy. Fiscal autonomy, we've already discussed a few times, so I really think we have to come up with what's the next steps. I think I know what the next steps are, but, and the operating levy, I'm not familiar with that. That's what, I believe Rachel brought it forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Dr. R.
I think when she's referencing operating levy, she made a reference to Florida, and in Florida, that was something like a penny sales tax that was done, as an example. But in Florida, we were able to do things with it that we can't do here. It's my understanding. We can't do here. But it may be that may be the discussion, right? I mean, that may be.
All right. That we, vote and write a letter to our delegation or whatever. Yeah. Which I also think fiscal autonomy. So I think those are two good things to include together.
They come
David?
together, yeah.
Yeah. David?
Yeah, when we do fiscal autonomy, can we make it fiscal autonomy next step? That way we can avoid the lecture of, why we need it.
Yeah,
And just focus on the next step.
perfect. Agree.
How much time?
I would say the two together, maybe at most an hour, maybe not even 45 minutes.
Yeah. I'll drive us to.
Yeah. Okay, so that's taking us to roughly, these are just estimates. So that would be, let's say, we had lunch from 11:45 to 12:30. So, or let's give it a whole hour.
You're up to about 2:30, yeah.
Yeah, so we're up to about 2:30. So we have time for another topic or two. What's any preference by any that are in attendance, or Dr. R?
David's
David?
hands up.
I think iReady update will certainly, it always seems to generate a conversation. So work session would be a good place to have it
Okay.
instead of a board meeting.
Yep.
Everybody has some idea about what they want out of that.
So how much time do you think? An hour?
Yeah, I would slot an hour for it.
All right. And
3:30.
Kathy?
I was looking at that iReady update, and I think if we're going to put it on the agenda, that there should be some guidance given. What exactly do we want to know about iReady? We just had a presentation on iReady. There was data presented in that presentation. So if we want an update, we're not going to be back in school yet. Well, a week. So I just think that it would be helpful to specify what exactly we want to know.
I concur.
Who placed that on there? On the
Rachel
list?
said she put it in future topics as a deeper dive.
Okay, that I think included the discussion on the board about evidential information category, like demographics and growth and stuff like that in terms of the history. I know that kind of started the discussion about a deeper dive. So I refer it to Rachel and Dr. Stratos in terms of what they can add to what we already know.
Do you have comments, Dr. Rodriguez?
Not really, other than I do agree with Kathy that that it would be helpful, right, to pinpoint, the specific of what the board is looking for out of it. So I can reach out to Dr. Wisniewski and have a conversation with her as to what her intent was when she placed it on there, and so that we can target the question that was posed around it. I think, if I recall, one of the things that she's interested in is the supplemental materials that come with iReady, and if you remember, she referenced a book related to iReady and the toolbox, the toolkit. I'm sorry, the toolkit that comes with it. So, but I will confirm, specifically whatever it is she's looking for, and then go from there. If that's helpful.
All right.
Kathy's hands up.
Yep, Kathy, go ahead.
I think that what Mel said is also true, that she was interested in some demographic data. We just have to remember, though, that iReady has only been used with special needs students up till this point. So any demographic data we have would be reflecting the students. And maybe if it's the toolbox and that type of thing that Rachel's interested in, maybe we have a demonstration where we actually, those things are shown to us, what's available on iReady. Those are just my thoughts.
David?
This could be a perfect opportunity when this topic comes up for me to reemphasize that we focus on results.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the deeper dive into how iReady works is really, we all want to know that out of curiosity, but that's not our mission. Our mission is the results. So, I mean, I would certainly preface this this item with a reminder of that. Because what I heard was, review of supplemental materials and things like that. I'm just not sure that's an appropriate use of our time.
Mel?
I don't think that was her intent at all. I think her intent was, why are we spending these dollars amount for iReady? And is it a proven tool, especially in the direction that we'd like to go in improving the different subgroups and the results of those different subgroups. And we wanted some evidence that these subgroups have been serviced nationally, which Dr. Stratos alluded to, that is used nationally in the areas we're going into, as opposed to the special needs information or database that we have created. There are other databases that she can show that makes it a good buy. That was my understanding of that exchange during the meeting.
Okay, so why don't we, it seems like, I think Dr. R has heard our discussion. He's going to reach out to Rachel. We want the discussion, limited to, what are we going to, see from this and the results and the cost, et cetera. It seems like that would be appropriate for the board.
Didn't we already buy this?
Yeah, we did. We already know the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dr. R, you heard what was discussed?
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think Mel hit it right on the head. This would be a discussion of the results we want to see, the way we want those results stratified. That would be a legitimate conversation for us.
Yeah. I agree. So we have probably one other, this is now 3:30, so we have probably time for one other topic with the disciplinary matrix. I'm not sure when that came up.
That's been on our future topics for a while,
Okay.
for a little bit.
And what would that be, like an hour? That's to 4:30. Mr. Mel Campbell?
What would it be about? I mean,
That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know what that is.
I can understand the possibilities about it, but I want to make sure what we're doing with it all. We may be better served, but that being presented at a future time when we're gathering new data for this year. It's going to be hard to gain anything from the information from last year or the last 2 years, even in terms of this disciplinary matrix.
I agree, Mel, because last year was so aberrant.
Yes. So that's my thought on it. I guess it would be enough time to limit the discussion to something for future discussion. Not to ignore it, but until we know what really we're looking for with that.
So Dr. Rodriguez, do you have any comments about that?
I would agree with Mel. I mean, any kind of, discipline data or anything like that from the 2020 school year is definitely skewed with the last quarter. And then anything last year is definitely skewed with half of the year, and even more so the fact that many students, even until the end, were still virtual. So I agree with what he's saying.
So why don't we wait, not have it on this agenda and do it down the road?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it seems like we got a good agenda here. Any other input from anyone?
The student testings out of IEPs, do you want me to take that off of this one and just leave it on future topics?
I don't know what that entails, honestly.
I would agree with that.
Taking it off.
Yeah, I'm leaving that for a future
Okay.
topic.
Um, I have a question.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
You said students. Yes, ma'am. What was that? What was that topic we were talking about taking off just now?
It was listed as
Student
student testing out of IEPs.
IEPs.
Yeah, I think that's basically. I believe that that was an update of.
Okay.
Rachel brought that, Rachel had requested that.
The process of how students are testing out of IEP. I think that's something that can be handled on this work session right here too. Right. I do understand, and I'm just stating that I think that's something that we should hold off on. I think that's something that could be could be on the on possibly even the second day.
So, David, do you want to comment?
I thought we might not have a second day.
Right.
So,
Okay.
we don't have a second day as of yet.
Correct.
And
Because the second day, let me
Yeah,
clarify that. The second day is, it's a lot of us are going to the law conference in Charleston. Kathy?
You know, if we're gonna have that on there, students testing out of IEPs, you really don't test out of IEPs. So that's kind of a misnomer. It's maybe the IEP process or something like that, but you really don't test out of IEPs.
All right. Mr. Smith?
Well, that it'd be something that would be good to bring forth as well. And also I was wondering, maybe if some people will be going to some of us will be going to the law conference, then maybe we might need to switch weekend for this, being that maybe we didn't realize that the law conference would be that weekend.
Okay.
Maybe that would be something too that the board be open so that we can make good use of our time.
Mr. Earl Campbell?
I would suggest that testing for students on IEP, if some of us don't understand how this works, maybe we can have someone from the district staff come and give a presentation, and that would play up all this. We won't have to be discussing this. That's just my comment.
So, it looks like, the three of us that are the voting members of this committee, do you have a preference for having this on or off the agenda?
Personally, I agree with Earl. and that most folks don't understand, and Kathy, most folks don't understand the process of how the IEP works. And I think the intent of this concern from Rachel, and I'm not speaking for her, but I'm trying to just recollect, she wanted to know how specific disabilities were changed from a disability of support system to something of a lesser support system, and how that impacted our use of resource over that time period. And I knowing a lot about that, and knowing that that information will probably just be kind of a superficial, information in terms of how we as board can use it. May need that as in a board meeting presented by the Special Services Department. That's where I look. That's what I think about this topic. But it's up to you. I assume that if we're going to get anything out of it, it's going to take more than an hour to dive into all the different categories of IEPs and which ones can change and transfer. So it's a lot of stuff there to get what Rachel really wanted to know from the start.
How should I label
those
it?
numbers changed.
I'm not sure how you should have a better.
If you were gonna label it, I would label it around the MTSS and RTI process, because in terms of shifting support levels, there's typically data collected and it's associated with that process, because RTI is a response to intervention, right? So you're providing a certain level of support, and then your data is telling you that it's either working or not working, and then you move to the next step or what have you.
So do you see that, Dr. R, as being something, as David is very good about having us focus on results. I think it's okay to have an overview maybe, but I don't think we need to get into all the little last details. I don't think that's for us to, we're not going to be making decisions, I don't think, on those last little details, unless I'm missing something.
No, but I understand what Mel is saying. Mel is I believe Mel is and Kathy are both correct in what they're saying, and I think it will spawn into different questions that people have around special ed and MTSS and RTI, unless we're very disciplined about what we're asking about to stay focused on the results and that kind of thing.
So does either Mel or David want to make a motion about whether to include it or not? It would be the 3:30 to 4:30 time slot, because we still have that on this agenda.
I move we move it off of the agenda.
Okay. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Smith, can you put your hand down and then back up if you're going to talk on this topic, please?
Actually, I just did. I did that.
Okay, so now you're going to talk about what's on the motion on the table. Okay, go ahead.
When you said you're moving the motion, Mr. Campbell, you said you were moving this off. Are you putting this on the agenda at the work session, or are you saying you taking it off the work session agenda?
Taking it off because I don't think what the intent of the conversation Rachel wanted would be sufficed in the short time of the work session. But I also think that there's so much information that we don't really need in that presentation until we need to have Rachel define what information would be pertinent. And I think her mindset, and she can speak for herself, is she wanted to know some of those categories, how much changes have been made over the time period, and not necessarily the general special needs children. She's talking about the occupational handicap children for the most part, and that's a different category.
Well, I think that when it comes to, I think that the whole kit and caboodle will be very informative to the community, and I think that we should do that. Even if an hour is not, then I think that we could give it more time. I think we should be able to give that a little more time if time is what would be needed. I'm definitely concerned if we pull it off, because I do believe that the process of all, basically the processes of all of that is a concern to the community, and the process will be also a part of our job is educating the community, educating ourselves as well. So I'm definitely not in support of taking it off. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Stripinger?
No, I agree with taking off, but on our loose items, could we leave the original wording in parentheses? We've changed it to MTSS and RTI process. Could we put back Rachel's original wording just in case we misunderstood what she wanted?
Okay.
Okay.
Now I got to remember what it was since I deleted it.
Testing out of special ed.
Out of IEP process,
Test.
I think.
IEP is testing out of, yeah.
Yeah, testing out of IEPs.
Yeah.
That'll give us the link back to the actual wording.
All right, Mr. Smith?
So the word that Dr. Rodriguez gave us, can we put that up under this as well?
Yes, they're both there now.
So Mr. Campbell, so you're saying that, if I'm hearing this correctly, you're saying that you think that you would want this to be shortened with the information. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, I don't want to speak for her, but I think she wanted to know information other than the process and all that. She just wanted to know the number transformation from a child entering the kindergarten with a certain disability, and how many of those children, percentage-wise, by the time they are leaving the 7th or 8th grade, that's been changed. Or by the time they're graduating, that's been changed. And those are factual numbers, I suppose, that somebody can get the stats. But when you get it, you would want to also know how, and and what the process for those numbers to have shifted. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that topic will take much longer than an hour, much more understanding, and I don't know if we need it as board members. The community might need it, but that's something that the process is available for them to learn it, and and the process and what the special services departments offer.
All right, we're Mr. Earl Campbell.
Like I said before, I think that if to better understand this for us and the community, is that maybe one of our board meetings, we have someone from the district come in and explain. And then we don't have to deal with that anymore. Because if you put it in the work session, it's going to take up too much time. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't take time, but for one day, you're gonna take up a lot of time. Thank you.
All right, we're ready to vote on the motion. Can you put the motion back up, Robin? Thank you. Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, carries unanimously. It will not be on this agenda. So the committee members, Mel and David, it seems like we've got a pretty good full agenda. Most of the topics we had outstanding there for the work session have been covered. Do you gentlemen have any other comments?
No, I think that's a full plate there.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any.
So therefore, I do not see the need for a second, now, you know, us now having the board vote on a second date. That was basically what we had talked about earlier. Yeah, there.
So
Okay.
take that off the agenda then?
Yeah, and I can mention it under, under chairman's report, I can mention what we're doing. All right. Next, we need to set our next agenda setting meeting, right? A date. And Robin?
So our meeting is August 3rd. So do you want to meet on the
Yeah, 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere in there.
Not the
Well, the
6th,
4th, we might still be having the meeting, right?
hopefully not, but do you want to start earlier?
How about the schedules for Mel and David and Dr. R?
If we go from 4 to 5 on the 4th?
That would be my request.
Fine,
Okay.
if we're not carrying on.
Yeah.
If
And
we're
if we
carrying
do
on,
have
then
overflow, we're going to be there that night anyways.
yeah.
So does that suit you, Mel and David? It's fine with me.
It's up to you guys, but I don't like the fact that we haven't completed the other meeting before we sign the agenda for the new meeting.
Well, do you want to then make it the 5th?
That'd be better in my mind.
Do you have any comments, David?
I agree with Mel on this one.
Okay. And does Thursday, August 5th, 4 to 5 work for you guys?
Yeah,
Yep.
we're gonna make it work, yes.
Okay. And Dr. R?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So that will be our next agenda setting meeting Thursday, August 5th, 4 to 5. Do we want to just have virtual or do we also want to have in person? It makes no difference to me. Which way?
I'm fine with either way out. If you want to be person, depends on what you guys decide on.
Yeah. Given the time of 4 to 5, it's a little easier for me if I just do virtual like today.
Okay, so let's do virtual.
All right. You're good with that, David, right?
Yeah, I'm virtual always, so.
I know. Always virtual. All right. Do we have any other business to address regarding agenda setting?
Just an update. So we did go, for the other board members, we did go and visit the Hilton Head Town Hall, and that's not going to work for us. But we could be ready to have our second meeting in August at the School of Creative Arts.
Okay.
So if you want to announce that at the August 3rd meeting.
That sounds great. So that could be another item I'll talk about. So you can put work session and then location of August meeting. August, whatever date it is again, 17th, I think.
August 17th.
Yes.
Okay. All right. There being no further business, we'll adjourn by unanimous consent. Adjourn. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your